Well, we are live in Studio 2A here at KXCI with Tom Rutzel and Thad Beckman. Welcome back to Tucson, guys.
Hola, great to be here. Always worth a stop,
Terrific.
Feels like
Well, we want to mention first and foremost that there's a show tonight down at Swaharita at the Good Shepherd United Church of Christ. It's on La Canada Drive in Swaharita, and that will be at 7:30 this evening. And then tomorrow night, the show will be at Bisbee at Cafe Roca.
Yes.
And that starts, I think, at 8 o'clock p.m. tomorrow evening.
Yeah, people should probably call the Cafe Roca before going down there. It may be sold out. There may be some standing room, but I'm very sure there's tickets tonight in Sahuarita at the Good Shepherd.
Sounds great. Well, let's talk a little bit about one of the things before we went on the air that we talked about was a new songbook that you just put out.
Just came out. Bangtail Press, which is a small press, well, they're actually a great press out of Montana, put out my art book 2 years ago, I think it was, called Blue Horse Red Desert, The Art of Tom Russell, and had an essay by myself and 50, 60 of my paintings, and including album covers. And then we got interested in the idea of a songbook. I mean, people for the last 10 years have kind of pushed me, why don't we'd like to learn the chords and the stories. And so I finally, with the help of a few fans, picked out 120 songs, some of the favorites, some obscurities, some things I'd written with Ian Tyson and Nancy Griffith and different people like that, and cowboy songs, rock and roll songs, and with a long introduction about how I got into the songwriting game. And it came out several months ago on Bangtail and is available from villagerecords.com or tomrussell.com. And it's done very well so far. We keep selling out. So
That's great. That's great. Well, let's, do you guys mind doing a couple songs for us? How about doing one to start with?
Sure. Let's start with Nina Simone, a song about myself kind of rambling around the Yucatan Peninsula 10 years ago and hearing Nina Simone singing Bob Dylan's Just Like a Woman on a jukebox, and it changed my life in a lot of ways. I realized that you can't categorize music, it's about a song and a singer and a passionate moment. So this one I did on the last record, Blood and Candle Smoke, which was recorded right here at
Wave
Lab, Craig's studio, and Calexico played on most of the record. So we'll send this out to Joey and John and Craig at Wave Lab. This is Nina Simone. The trains used to run all across Mexico, way down through the Yucatan, wherever in hell and it was down in San Cristobal that I first heard the sound Nina's voice on that jukebox, spinning darkly around. And I was so lost down there. Out of love I was walking alone, but walking beside me was Nina Simone. Tonight in my dressing room, Lord, the tea kettle rattled and water pipes were dripping down on a plate of Spanish apples. And outside in the train yard, the trains they rattled and moaned. It's just Hank Williams talking to Nina Simone. Yeah, we've all been to hell and back, ain't we? Well, love cut us right through to the bone, but walking beside us was Nina Simone. I have driven your highways and back roads. I rode the gray dog through the smoke and the sleet and the hail, through the sunshine and through the fog. I heard the raven call morning up with his little raw saxophone, but the darkest of ravens was Nina Simone. Yeah, we've all been to hell and come back, ain't we? Well, love cut us right down to the bone, but walking beside us was Nina Simone. The trains used to run all across Mexico.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. And we should mention, too, that accompanying you here on guitar is another accomplished singer-songwriter, Thad Beckman, in his own right. Welcome, Thad.
Thank you.
Good. We saw you 2 years ago at Swaharita as well, and picked up one of your CDs, which is now in a KXCI library as well.
Thank you.
I want to mention, too, Tom, about your last CD, Masabi, which also had Calexico on it, if I remember right.
Definitely. We stretched out a little bit. We recorded some here in Tucson because I just love the vibe at Wave Lab, and you know, I didn't want to overuse Calexico because I'd get hooked on that great sound, and I'll be on the road with them carrying their guitars or something. And, no, but that is such a tremendous band, that eclectic blend of you know, Tex-Mex and Latino and world music, and I love it. And it fit on some songs on Masabi, the one we might do next called Good Night Juarez, a lament for Juarez, but we also branched out. I did some recording in San Antonio, Texas with the great Augie Meyer, who's my wife's godfather, and who used to play a lot with Doug Somm, the king of Americana. Oh, yeah. And we recorded also in Nashville with a lot of great musicians, Victor Krauss on the bass, Barry Walsh, who used to play piano with Roy Orbison and Waylon Jennings, and Gretchen Peters, his wife, singing backup. I think Thad Beckman did some tracks at his home, his vast studio in Portland.
L.A. too.
L.A. Oh, that's a good one. A cousin of mine, Emmett Malloy, who just won a Grammy for the independent film on Mumford and Sons, the train they did. They stole our train idea, but we don't care. Emmett Malloy did a film on Mumford and Sons. Anyway, he manages Jack Johnson in L.A., and they have a studio, and we were able to record their 2 songs with Van Dyke Parks on piano. Oh, wow. And some great backup musicians, one of Dylan's old drummers. And so we really got all over the United States with this record and expanded on the sound a little bit. So
it's a wonderful record.
Thank
it really
you.
is. It's one of my favorites. And I had to go back into our library and pull out another one of your older releases. It's one of my favorites too, because you're such a master storyteller. I don't know any other words to use for the way you present stories and songs that are just so captivating. And
Thank you.
this particular album that I pulled, like I said, is one of my favorites. Is called The Long Way Around. And talk about collaboration. There's just every artist in the world. It seems like every song on here is a duet with someone. But one that always jumped out at me was the one that you did called Box of Visions with Iris DeMent. And I always liked that a lot. And I'm happy to see her have some success.
Oh
in her
yeah,
own
that
right.
new record, the
Sing
Delta.
the Delta.
Yeah, it's great. It's a very heartfelt, personal record. You know, Iris has been kind of off the grid for a little while, and she's back now, singing great. And hope to have her on one of my future records. She sang with me also on a folk opera I did called "The Man from God Knows Where."
I've listened to that as well. It's
So everybody
fabulous.
always mentions a duet with Iris because she's such a unique presence, and her voice pretty authentic. So that could happen in the future.
That'd be wonderful, that's for sure. Well, what have you got lined up to play for us next?
We'll do one off of Masabi, the new record, and the first part of the record takes place in Hollywood, and some of the childhood actors I knew or grew up watching on Disneyland. And then I change pace halfway through the record and talk about the situation in Juarez, Mexico, the drug war. And my wife and I live in El Paso part-time and part-time in Switzerland. There's a variety right there.
Incredible.
So we speak Spanish and Swiss German to each other, the few words I know. But the sad part is right across the river is Juarez and the drug war and all the toll that's taken,
Yes.
which people around here are very familiar with, you know, because of the writing of Charles Bowden and quite a few people. But we recently were involved with having a song on that compilation, Border Songs.
Oh, yes.
Has Calexico on it and Pete Seeger and a bunch of great people. They'll be auctioning off some of those at one of these gigs, but providing water for people crossing over down there in the desert. But this is just my personal lament for Juarez, because I used to go over there and hang out and listen to the mariachis in the square and
It's great.
great bars over there, and that's kind of all gone away, and hopefully will come back in the future. But this one I also did with Calexico and Thad Beckman, I believe. Good night, Juarez. Juarez, I couldn't sleep tonight. Juarez, you made me weep tonight. Across the Rio Grande, I see the poverty lights. Good night, Juarez, good night. Juarez, I used to paint your town. Now you're gone and turned it upside down into a dark and bloody battleground. Good night, Juarez, good night. Our Lady of the Seven Sorrows just caught the last bus out. She said 7 sorrows used to fit the bill, boys, but I'd need 10,000 now. The mariachi horns are silent, the guitars don't make a sound. The children have all disappeared, or they're hiding underground. The tourist market's empty now. You wouldn't recognize this town, Christ, they even tore the old bull ring down. Good night, Juarez, good night. Vuela, vuela, palomita, you ragged and torn dove of peace. Go fly across this broken river and the bodies that lie beneath, and bring me back one faded rose, a sign of love and hope. Drop it down on that broken city, for it all goes up in smoke. Juarez, I had a dream today. The children danced as the guitars played, and all that violence up and washed away. Good night, Juarez, good night. The children danced as the guitars played. Good night, Juarez, good night. Ole.
Stunningly beautiful.
Thank you so much. And we always enjoy playing on a station like KXCI that I think is so instrumental in this area. You know,
Thank you so much.
you're still playing the real thing. But
We try to.
Here's my favorite song. I've been opening with this. It's called Guadalupe. I've done 3 ballads in a row, but we're in a ballad frame of mind, and it means a lot to me. It's not so much a song about religion as spirit, and what I witnessed down in Mexico City one afternoon in the shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and just watching the Mexican women go by, and up on the hill outside the shrine were 2 of the older shrines sinking into the Mexican earth, and I got a really strong feeling off the whole experience. And Gretchen Peters does a great version of this song on a record we did, One to the Heart, One to the Head. But we'll do our version off Blood and Candle Smoke. This is the title track. I think I did this with Calexico. I think so. And Thad Beckman plays a great lead. So we'll leave you with this, Guadalupe. There are ghosts out in the rain tonight, high up in those ancient trees. And Lord, I've given up without a fight. Another blind fool on his knees. And all the gods that I've abandoned begin to speak in simple tongue. Lord, suddenly I've come to know there are no roads left to run. Now it's the hour of dogs a-barking. That's what the old ones used to say. It's first light, then it's sundown, before the children cease their play. When the mountains glow like mission wine, then turn gray like a Spanish Rome, 10,000 eyes will stop to worship, then turn away and head for home. And she is reaching out her arms tonight, and Lord, my poverty is real, and I pray roses shall rain down on me from Guadalupe on her hill. But who am I to doubt this mystery? Cured in centuries of blood and candle smoke, I am the least of all your children here, but I am most in need of hope. she appeared to Juan Diego, and she left her image on his cape. And 500 years of sorrow have not destroyed their deepest faith. But here I am, your ragged disbeliever. Old doubting Thomas drowns in tears as I've watched your church sink through the earth like a heart worn down through fear. And she is reaching out her arms tonight. And yes, my poverty is real, and I pray roses shall rain down on me from Guadalupe on her hill. But who am I to doubt this mystery, cured in centuries of blood and candle smoke? I am the least of all your pilgrims here, but I am most in need of hope. I am the least of all the children here, but I am most in need of hope.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much. This is great.
Mil gracias.
I'll tell you, people, they have to really know a little bit about you, Tom. I mean, as you said and mentioned earlier in the interview, that you grew up in Los Angeles, kind of got educated, I guess, in Vancouver a lot after receiving a degree from. People don't realize that you have a master's degree in criminology, which was mentioned. One of your songs on Blood and Candle Smoke that you wrote.
Yeah, I did 2 songs with KXCI, Criminology and East of Woodstock, West of Vietnam, which is the last song we did on the David Letterman show a year or 2 ago. We may be on the show again in April. We're crossing our fingers.
So
we may do Goodnight Juarez, which would be great with that big band and that. But yeah, I taught for a year in West Africa, in Nigeria during the Biafran War, and I was just a kid fresh out of University of California at Santa Barbara, and I didn't even know where Nigeria was. I just got the gig and went over there and grew up there in 1 year. But I took my old Martin guitar that I had for a year or 2 and realized when I was over there I wasn't as much into academia, the lifestyle. I was into the subject matter. I was into the African experience, and I learned how to carve wood and appreciate African art. But when I got back a year later, I ended up in Vancouver, and I started at the bottom in Skid Row honky tonks and strip bars and learning the trade. I thought that's how you did it. You paid your dues, and I knew I would get out of there one day. But I lived in Vancouver 2 or 3 years, and then Austin during the incipient Austin scene. Thad was down there later, and then San Francisco, New York, and eventually El Paso, 28 albums later. So I don't know what happened. Met my lovely wife in Switzerland about 8 years ago. 9 years. I want to get the numbers right.
Yeah, I understand that, believe me.
We an interesting point, though, we just did Elko, the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering, Thad and I, and Nadine and I were married there first in a little wedding chapel, and our best men were Ian Tyson and Ramblin' Jack Elliott. So it's full circle, this music experience.
Oh, that's great. Well, I know you guys are in a hurry to get back to your company. Do you have time to do one more quick song for us?
I'll ask the boss. One more, she said. Then we
Okay.
can go get an In-N-Out burger.
I think
Yum,
I
yum.
pulled- I think I pulled that out of Nadine. Thank you, Nadine.
It's so great to have us here, though.
Oh, I can't tell you how thrilled we are, and I know the people who are listening to this are just going to have a ball. And let's mention again, too, real quickly, that tonight you'll be at Good Shepherd United Church of Christ on La Canada Drive in Swaharita, and that starts at 7:30, and there are plenty of seats, I hope, available with Reverend
I would
Randy.
hope so. It's a
Yeah,
pretty
that's
big
a
church.
big venue. I was there 2 years ago. And then tomorrow night, Saturday night, the 16th, at Cafe Roca in Bisbee. But as you've advised, we better call ahead on that because that's a smaller venue and gets sold out pretty quickly.
Yeah, they say it's sold out. They may extend a few seats, standing room, and it's also a great restaurant. It's like a 5-star restaurant, so you
Excellent.
can go get a 5-course meal and come to the concert. But I would recommend tonight because Sahuarita is only a half an hour from here
Or less, yeah.
Come on down to the Good Shepherd Church, and we have lots of the records there and some of my art prints, and enough said.
Sounds great. Tom
What's up?
Russell and Thad Beckman.
Thank you.
Tom and Nadine Russell, Thad Beckman, it's been an honor to have you here this afternoon in Studio 2B. We wish you well with both shows tonight, tomorrow night at Good Shepherd Church in Swaharita tonight, and at Cafe Roca tomorrow night in Bisbee. Safe travels to you.
Thank you. Mil gracias. Thanks for having us, and thanks to KXCI and Duncan and all the folks, and even Michael Hyatt, who always keeps in touch with me.
That's
So.
great. Let's go back now to Kathy in our studio and back to the home stretch.